Freedom Empowered is back after a long break. Today we talk about George H.W. Bush, fentanyl, and the opioid crisis we have. And we have a little free thing for you. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome back, everyone. We should actually say welcome back to ourselves because I know it's been, what's it been, Nick? 2 weeks?
Yeah, just about 2 weeks.
Yeah. Me and Nick had a few things to take care of. That's why we've been off the air for a little bit. But I'm sure you guys didn't stop learning without us because the things that we talk about on the show probably inspired you to get out there and achieve some crazy feats. But anyways, a lot has happened since we last spoke, and I think that this episode's going to be pretty interesting. We're going to talk about, give our condolences to George H.W. Bush. We're going to talk a little bit about the opium crisis, and then talk a little bit about how to take advantage of your opportunities. But anyways, if this is your first time listening, as always, thanks for joining us, and we make it our goal to teach all of you returning listeners a little something new every day. You want to kick it off, Nick?
Yeah, sure. So first, George H.W. Bush. He was a war hero and the 41st president. He passed away earlier in the week. Yeah, and they're doing the whole funeral service they did it yesterday, and they have on CNN, I believe, they have a whole tracker of where his body's at right now.
What do you mean where it's at? So what are they doing with it?
They're gonna fly it back to Texas.
Where was he when he died?
Not in Texas.
You don't even know?
No, I don't know exactly where he was at when he died. I'm sure he died
he
in
was
a
pretty
hospital,
old.
to tell you the truth.
Well, he was pretty old, so I just assumed that he didn't leave Texas very often. But I don't know. Does their whole family live on one compound? Like him and George 1W Bush?
I'm sure there's a family compound, but I'm sure they each have probably their own compound too. I don't know. The Bushes are very rich people.
Right. Of course. No, I was looking into HW, and it talked about it. He went, or for those of you that don't know, he was a bomber pilot in World War II. He actually got a lot of awards. There's one time in particular where he got shot down and then survived and was rescued by a Navy boat, which that's kind of, I don't know, during World War II you get shot down and then you survive and then you don't drown. Pretty impressive. And then after the war, he went to Yale and got his degree and then made a bunch of money in the Texas oil.
Oh, quick story about that. When he was at Yale, I guess he played baseball. He actually has a picture with Babe Ruth when Babe Ruth was getting old. Yep. Fun fact of the day.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And then I don't think his son went to as good of a school. I think George Bush went to Texas A&M. Wouldn't he get C's or something? Wasn't there a story about how he got straight C's at school?
I'm not sure, but I don't know. People always make jokes about George W. Bush, about not being smart and all that stuff.
But yeah, great president. He is. One thing I read is that he got the American military back on its feet after the crushing losses of Vietnam and then Korea. He basically threw the United States military a couple of slow pitches with Panama and what's the Grenada, and basically gave us some easy chicken after the Cold War. That and then into the Gulf War. So you know, whatever you think about war, he definitely played a major role in the transitioning from one era to the next. I actually read this one. This is more of a conspiracy type of thing, but I thought I'd mention it. It just kind of goes back to where I
You're the
was confused why
conspiracy
he
guy.
wasn't in where he wasn't in Texas. Was that my understanding, or from a lot of people's understanding, some of the stuff that occurred during both of the Bush's presidencies could be misconstrued as war crimes by the wrong person. So the article that I had read said that they don't like to go outside of Texas because technically any judge in any country can indict you for a war crime. So technically, which I don't know if it would happen in the U.S., but they say this is specifically why they don't leave the country, but also a big part of why they don't leave the state is because technically, if they like went up to a different state, some local judge could be like, "I indict you with war crimes," and if they got enough fucking uh, local police on their side, technically the local police could like arrest them for war crimes. And so that was a big thing why they say they don't leave the country is because uh, if they did, like the Hague would immediately snatch them up, which is interesting because you know how many it during a time of war how much occurs that could be misconstrued as war crimes. I don't know, but apparently, and from what I understand, the whole Patriot Act thing, like, it had its purpose, and it definitely was in response to the worst terrorist attack this nation's ever seen. But also, there was a lot of things that, in a time that wasn't so tumultuous, a lot of the things that got passed in the Patriot Act might not have been passed in a more sensible time, a less emotionally charged time. I don't know. Interesting.
Well, yeah, I agree with you there about the Patriot Act, but that was George W. Bush. And the thing about the war crimes, I don't think, even if that was a true thing, I don't think they would ever get charged. I don't think anyone would mess with the U.S. like that.
Yeah. No, it was just something I was reading,
Yeah, I know.
but yeah, it's pretty interesting. And here's my next question, just to get a little bit political, because you know how me and Nick don't like this blind political division and allegiance to whichever side you're on. Um, Everyone says R.I.P. George H.W. Bush. But I'm sure at his time there was a lot of people that saw him, especially when he was getting America into new wars, as some sort of imperialist or some sort of hyper conservative globalist. So that or imperialist. So my question is, does it change over time? Like you see all the division we have right now, 20 years from now when President Trump passes away, is the whole world going to mourn him as well and we're going to get a federal holiday out of it? I don't know. I don't know. It's
Wait,
interesting.
so George H.W. Bush officially has a federal holiday? If I'm
No, it doesn't officially have a federal holiday, but I mean,
Well, like I
I
know back on
think
Wednesday, a lot of military people got the day off.
right. That's true. And then I mean, here's the thing. You think that well maybe we won't have a federal holiday, but how many presidents have died recently? Not that many. Was Reagan the last one to die? Oh, there was four died, but that was like in 2006 or something. Like there's been not a lot of people, not a lot of presidents have died, and George H.W. Bush is a major president. So who's going to be the next one to die? Who's still alive? It's like I mean I don't know. You're right, But HW, it was a huge time for us. I mean, I could see it totally becoming a federal holiday, 100%. But my point is, it's crazy how, you know, divided we are politically today. Like, and I just want to see what happens. I really want to see what happens when President Trump dies. I want to see what people say.
Just a heads up to any Secret Service members listening. We are not threatening the president. We're just saying in the future, we want to see what happens.
I mean, the dude is like 70 what 70 75 or something,
and no, I think he's
he's
71 now.
well, but he's pretty out of shape. He doesn't have a good diet. Apparently, he's on like Adderall. That's help him focus. So that's another conspiracy. I mean, it's not even conspiracy; it's proven. But he calls them diet pills. But I'm sure it's simply a way for him to be more productive. And everyone who is running a major business, or anyone who's not saying everyone, but that you would be surprised how many people that are extremely high functioning, running either a massive business or in some sort of high tier, school program or doctoral program, are on Adderall. I mean, because here's the thing: other than it being illegal and then partially bad for your health, there's no reason to not be taking Adderall. It's like just like a productivity booster, basically. So it's pretty interesting. And going into, I guess we'll transition now into drugs that are legal, but are definitely being misused. Talk a little bit about the fentanyl crisis. So fentanyl, as many of you know, it's an opioid. It is synthetic. But the difference about fentanyl is that the amount it takes to kill you is like a powder on the tip of a pencil. So the amount of deaths that have been caused by opioids has gone through the roof, like to an incredible amount. I was trying to look up. I just saw
from 2012 to 2016, there was an 80% increase in overdoses.
Right. Well, it's not even that. So I'm looking at a graph right now, and basically it's comparing cocaine, heroin, the other opioids. That's like oxycodone, morphine, hydrocodone. Oh, those are, yeah, other natural or semi-synthetic opioids. But basically for all of them, cocaine has a little spike, but for the most part, it's super low, and fentanyl is the lowest. It's sitting around like 4,000 until 2013, where it shoots up, and then in a matter of like 3 years, it's up to over 25,000 overdose deaths at the current time. But at the same point, the other drugs, cocaine, heroin, oxycodone, morphine, and stuff, they went up, and it's been a crisis. But they're up at around 13,000 deaths. So fentanyl is by far just the new big issue on the block. And
it's like the opioids in general are a big issue.
Right, the opioids in general. And so they started with the opioid epidemic in the 90s, where doctors were just prescribing. I don't know if it was just doctors not understanding the full potential of these drugs, or if it did have some sort of diabolical, monetary reasoning for it. But I don't know. All we know is that a lot of people got addicted to these things, and now it's a crisis.
Well, and here's the thing with... Well, supposedly it's still getting overprescribed, and...
Oh, it definitely is, right.
And well, like, I don't know if it's because they feel comfortable prescribing it to a bunch of people, or... I don't know, I've heard some things like, nowadays doctors have to do so much paperwork, and they're just so much busier nowadays, where it's just easier to write a prescription. And this is just for like any drugs, really. It's almost easier to just write a quick prescription for that symptom that they're having than it is to actually like dig deep into the.
Well, yeah. So what you mean is, so it's not that it's easier to write a prescription. It's not like prescriptions is the easy way out. What it is that doctors don't have time to challenge your self-diagnosis. So if you come in and say my back is hurt and my pain level's a 9 out of 10, they're not going to put you through a bunch of tests to figure out that you're a pussy and it's really at a 4.
It's expensive
and
too.
that your back's not hard. Right. So they're just going to be like, okay, let me do this quick, like I'll flick you in the back test. You are feeling the pain. Here's the painkiller. You know what I mean? And whether or not, and a lot of the issue is not even people that are just trying to fraudulently get prescribed pain meds, but just in general, people don't know the addictiveness of these things, so then they just get a prescription for like 2 months. And here's the thing, man, and this is why it's so dangerous. It's because it's not even an addictive thing. It's not like it's not even like it's some conspiracy. But if you get a 2-month prescription where you're told to take 3 of these pills a day for 2 months, you are going to be physically addicted to it. I had friends that literally noticed they had a problem and had to have their buddies pour this stuff down the drain because you're addicted. I mean, can you imagine if you were given like a cocaine prescription for 2 months and you were taking cocaine every day for 2 months? Like, you're going to come out the other side addicted. It's not like a one-time thing. And that's the issue with these long-term prescriptions. If they said, okay, here's a week of them while you get over like the worst of your pain, but the thing is they're getting prescribed no longer for like surgeries and stuff, but they're getting prescribed for long-term pain. Like, I have a injured back, I need something for the pain long-term for the next 10 years. And that's what the issue is here. And that's another thing is, from what I understand about opioids, is that when you take an opioid, it does relieve the pain, but because the like the properties of it that cure pain, it makes your neurons or your pain receptors extra sensitive. So like, in order to absorb the pain treating properties of these pills, your your pain receptors become extra sensitive. So then, you know what happens? You can't get off them, because if you get off them, now you're going to feel the pain even worse, because now you went from, you just feeling the pain to now, okay, I'm going to get extra sensitive, but also getting treated with these pain pills. And now if you ever try to stop them, you're going to be hurting twice as bad. And then that's the first part that's bad. And then the second part is what a lot of people do once they realize they're in this never-ending cycle of just pain pills, is they get depressed, and then they get on antidepressants, and that's when you die. Is because now you have a exponential road of being prescribed to not only a pain pill but an antidepressant. And that the antidepressants are another one where, I'm not saying that you might not have an issue, just like you might not have. I agree that people have issues that they need them for, but so what, you're just going to be on antidepressants till you die? That's what our medical community does nowadays. It's not saying we just treat symptoms now. We treat the symptoms of pain, we treat the symptoms of depression, but why don't we talk about how do we cure the depression? Well, how do we cure the pain? Why don't we fix the person's back? Why don't we tell them that they're, overweight, and that's probably why you're, needing pain meds? Why don't we have you lose 20 pounds and do some yoga, and then maybe you don't have to be on these pills anymore? But who am I? Definitely not a doctor. Definitely not a doctor. But anyways, long story short, we just went on all about the overall issue. But the thing is with fentanyl, so in China, you can change one molecule of a drug, and then it's a whole new drug. So basically, when like they would outlaw fentanyl, or for example, like let's say they outlaw fentanyl, they change one molecule. It's still fentanyl, but it's got one molecule difference. So then they would just call it a different drug, and now it's legal. And that was just a loophole in their laws. So what was happening was that there would just be these giant chemical factories over there that were just producing thousands of kilos of fentanyl, synthetic, marijuana, all this these other drugs. And just every time that they would get illegal, they would produce the same thing with a different molecule, and then they would ship it all around the world in the U.S. And that was one of the biggest issues with our fentanyl crisis here is that it's being like shipped over here from China. So during the G20 summit, what President Trump did, which is something that he should be given props for, but no one really has because you either like him or you hate him. But he used this forum, which was meant to be an economic forum. And if you don't know, the G20 summit is the 20 biggest economies in the world. But he, on the national stage, basically said, I'm excited to be here, talk about economics. So, but first, our most important topic is going to be fentanyl. And basically, not blackmailed, but China had no interest previous to this to spend the money to crack down on the illegal drug trade because they don't care because they don't really have morals. So but he forced them on the international stage, saying, "Hey, if you want to get a trade deal done here, you're going to have to also take care of the fentanyl crisis." That's the news. And Nick looks like he's grumpy that I just went on a rant. What you got to say, Nick?
No, you're good. No, you're good. No, I think the idea that Trump used that stage to basically take on a crisis, which is help being fueled by not necessarily China, but China's lack of laws, is a good thing. And
Well,
I
that's
read
so.
how
It's a twofold thing.
I
Oh, keep going.
well
What you
I read
read?
how China is actually going to start, I guess, helping the U.S. fight it. They're gonna classify the drug as a controlled drug, and it's actually gonna have like some serious criminal punishment. So that's a good thing. They're gonna like it worked, basically.
So that's the thing with China is that they want all the benefits of being a world power. They want all of the, economic benefits of controlling markets and the economy and of taking advantage of being a world power, but they don't want the responsibility of it. You know what I mean? So they want to be able to have the power of the world stage, but still allowing illegal things and bad things to go on in their country, which when you project it at such a high level that they're on, like, could you imagine if we didn't crack down on, drug trades or weapons trades? You know what I mean? What if we could just produce guns and the private citizens can just ship out guns all over the world and we didn't crack down on it? Can you imagine had the prolific impact it would have on the world? And that's what China's trying to do. They're trying to have the responsibility of a small third world country, but get all the advantages of being a world power. And that's one of the biggest things with the trade deal, which also we came to a huge agreement on. That is the whole purpose for the original trade deal was we gave China a lot of advantages and like loopholes per se, but like we gave it to them because we do that with all third world countries when they're small back in the day. We say, you know what, we're gonna help you out. Here's this here's this rule to help you out. And then we help grow their economy. But now China's a world power and is still taking advantage of those, unequal opportunities that we gave them while they were growing. And it was time to change that. And from my understanding, this new trade deal is doing exactly that. So I don't know. Double fold thing. One, it's good for the world, and two, you know, maybe the Don isn't as evil as a guy as people think he is, or even if he is that bad of a guy, bad people can do good things too. So give him a little break on this one. What do you think, Nick?
Well, I agree with you that it's it's good that he did that because it will help a a little bit with the entire situation. And talking about Trump, I don't know, like him, hate him. You praise him when he's right, hate him when he's wrong. That's all you can do. That's all.
I
You
think
see, that's how everyone
right,
should be. That's how everyone should be.
right, right, 100%. And I think something that Trump brings to the table is people say, well, Trump's not courteous. Trump doesn't follow the rules of American dialogue or of the American political system, and he breaks the rules, and he's blah 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 blah. The way I look at it is, the American people are used to a type of secure society that we live in right now, where there are rules, but in the international stage, there's no rules. People respect three things: money, power, and fear. That's about it. That's about how the world runs. And you can't go out there and expect the rest of the world to, trust us just because we have good morals. Like, having the best morals doesn't, project power in the real world. So, if there's anything that Trump brings to the table, I think the president should have two different ways of behaving. Okay, in America, when we are working within the confines of our, social system that we've created, okay, be a nice guy, follow the rules. But when we get out of the gates into the international community, you got to smell the blood in the water and do what it takes to win. And that's one thing that I think Trump brings to the table is he doesn't respect the rules. And when you're talking international affairs, there are no rules. So that's why he's able to demand the respect of people like, the president of China and, in some ways, Vladimir Putin. But, a big argument people have is, well, okay, he's friends with these guys because he's got casinos and shit in their countries. But at the same time, don't you, when you want to keep your enemies close, that's what they say, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. You know, uh, if we really held our noses high and refused to cooperate with every international government that had some skeletons in the closet, well, first of all, we'd have no friends. And two, we got plenty of skeletons in our own closet. That's for sure. It's interesting. That's one of me and Nick's interests is international politics for sure, which a lot of you listening probably find a little bit boring. Would rather we talk more about how to make money. But we got plenty of that too. Right, Nick?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about over in the free things section, or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, a lot of people look at other people's success, and they all. I hear all the time. Oh, he got so lucky, or man, or even when something good happens to someone else, man, you're lucky. You know what I mean? That happens
Mm-hmm.
all the time. But
Yeah, it
at the end of the
does.
day, it's not really luck. It only looks
No,
lucky.
yeah, it only looks like it's not luck at all, and that's the thing is it's no skin off the people's backs who consider it luck because it might actually look like luck to them, but the reality is that they just took advantage of an opportunity that they saw, and it's hard to get there. You have to first even have the knowledge to see those opportunities and realize that they're there. But yeah, I mean, if we really, if you really looked at anyone that you consider successful and you talk to them, I guarantee you it's taken them 3 to 5 years to devise a plan, to learn and develop the skills to take action, and then probably a lot of failure, you know? But of course, the only thing that people see is what they see on Facebook. Oh, look at them. They're going on a nice vacation, or they bought a new house, or, look, how come he's never at work or she's never at work? That's what you see. You see the product of success. You don't see the success itself. That's, I think, one of the biggest issues we have today. And that's something that you have to realize is a factor, the more risk you take, the more you seem lucky, because people go, oh, well, look how lucky they got because they took a massive risk. Well, did they take a risk, or did they make a calculated action that they knew that they were going to be able to achieve, you know, because of the effort they put in? I don't know.
Well, yeah. Well, like they knew it would be risky, but they didn't really see it as a risk. They 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 liked their odds, so they took the action.
Right. And that's something that I think we all have to learn to do is, you know, we got to learn to flip the switch. And I guess that'll go into I kind of came up with this little analogy. So I look at opportunity, right? I think that there's a couple of different steps to this whole success thing. I think the first is opportunity, and then the second is work and development, and then the third is you come out the other side with success. So my analogy is with coal and diamonds, right? So I think opportunity is like coal, right? It's buried, and you don't see it a lot of the time, and it doesn't just sit on the top of the ground. So you got to the first thing you got to do is even find it. You got to know where to look. You got to know what it looks like, and you got to be able to differentiate the difference between a rock and coal. So once you do that, that's the hardest part. Once you figure out what the difference is, that's what that the analogy is you have to develop the skills and the knowledge to even see the opportunity, to even find and see it. Once you find it, the next question is, okay, what are you going to do with this opportunity? And what you have to do is then have the skills to develop that opportunity into something that might create success. So at first you just got this piece of coal that has an exponential potential for energy, but you have to know what you're going to do with it. So now you have this opportunity. Now you're building the opportunity, and then on the other side you turn it into a diamond, and that's the success that you get. So what most people see, they just see this diamond and go, well, look, he found a diamond. Now, did he find a diamond, or did he find a bunch of coal? Well, did he find a bunch of rocks, sift through the bunch of rocks, find a piece of coal, and then turn the coal into a diamond? What do you think about that analogy, Nick?
It was a lot. I get what you're trying to say. Turning the coal, they basically found an opportunity out of all the different little things, and they found that opportunity and they took it, and then that's how they became a diamond.
Yeah.
Like a caterpillar to a beautiful butterfly.
And I like to use Jeff Bezos as one of the best examples for this whole process, right? He saw this thing. Well, so first of all, he was just working, and he had to learn how to, sift through massive amounts of data, which most people don't know how to do. He saw this thing called the internet grew 2,000% in a few months. So, okay, he sees the opportunity. What is the opportunity? I don't know. You just because you see an opportunity doesn't mean you have any idea what you're going to do with it. And he realized that he had to do something. So he quit his job, which was very lucrative and could have been a career for him. And he took a massive risk, moved to Seattle, made his parents refinance their house and to give him $300,000, and started Amazon. And even then, it wasn't an immediate success. He had to live. He was working out of a dump basically, and grinded for years before he turned, what he had into Amazon. And a lot of people just go, "Oh well, he rode the coattails of the internet. It was all luck." Was it luck? Because how many people? First of all, if you're not educated enough to see that opportunity, it's not luck. That's your fault. It's your fault that you don't develop your knowledge and you aren't constantly trying on a path of learning to where you can see opportunity the way Jeff Bezos did. And then the second part is how many people were smart enough? How many people saw this thing called the internet growing and never took advantage of the opportunity? They just sat there and watched it pass. You know what I mean? And just looked at it and were too afraid to take the risk. So at the end of the day, I don't know if I could call it luck. I call it badass success, and I call it exciting. And I think that that's one
Well,
of the, what?
well, sorry, that's why I think it's so important. Like, that's why I think gaining knowledge is so important. Just things you're interested in, just knowledge in general. Because Jeff Bezos, for example, already had the knowledge basically beforehand, or a base knowledge where he was able to see the opportunity because of the knowledge he knew.
Right. And that was something that was one of my biggest points is you need to always be learning about all sorts of different things because you might be in a specific field right now working a job saying, okay, how do I find an opportunity in my field? But what if you don't even know, what you know? Like this is a total tangent, but there was a girl that on this podcast I was listening to who used to be a lawyer, quit her job, and now is a professional spearfisher woman. Like, you don't even know what you like. You don't even know what you don't know. Like, you should be your goal in life, and it should be to learn as much as you can about as much as different things as you can. And then when you find that opportunity in something that you truly love, then pursue it and learn more and then develop that opportunity to success. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be learning about different things. You should always be learning, always be looking for these opportunities. It should be a never ending thing. It should be interesting. I find it interesting to learn. And I think that that's one of the big issues with the school system is that they make learning boring so people are just adverse to learning. You know what I mean? But learning should be enjoyable. It should be something that people aspire to uh, continue for their whole life. And then, you come out the other side being a very knowledgeable person, being wise.
Yeah, and well, like Jeff Bezos is just basically one of the examples we could have used to show that
Mm-hmm.
it's not luck. And well, every episode that we do where we talk about somebody, it's not luck. We break it down every single time. What they did, how they started, the opportunities that they saw,
Yeah.
and how they did it.
Yeah, that's what this show is all about. I think that the new format that we have is pretty perfect. We're gonna spend the first half trying to just teach you about new things and give our spin on it. I mean, basically, it's to teach us new things, but you guys got to learn too. So we're talking about different things that are in current events, news, politics, things going on in the economy. Nick's a really big business guy. He's always talking about technology and new technologies for business. Whatever it is, we're learning things that aren't just math and science and English. We're learning about things that matter out there in the big world. We learn. And hopefully, what it does is one, inspire you to learn on your own outside of just listening to this show. You can go and read some things and learn some things on your own. Then you find out something you like, you delve deeper into that field, get some knowledge and some skills so that now you have a leg up in that field that you find enjoying, and then you discover an opportunity and pursue it. That's the way it works. And the opportunities are everywhere. You just have to know where to look and how to go about pursuing them. And it takes time, everyone. It takes time, but lucky for you, it's enjoyable. And It's easy to do. All you have to do is flip the switch and pursue this new way of thinking where you are constantly trying to improve yourself and create a life of personal freedom to achieve the four tenets of freedom. Yeah, Nick. Do you have anything else for the group?
No, that was a pretty good way to end it.
All right, everyone. Go learn something new and share with us. If you guys find something very interesting that you want to share, go to the private Facebook group and share with us. There's not very many people in it right now, which is fine. So, but I'll read it for sure. But yeah, keep sharing your ideas, keep growing your intelligence, and keep uncovering those hidden opportunities. And by the end of it, we'll all have our shiny diamonds of success. Anyways, I'll talk to you next time. Bye.